beer, good day. Beer is a staple at every ball game and backyard picnic, but it also has its place in the culinary world right alongside fine wine. And that's why we're here today at Monk's Cafe, right in the heart of Philadelphia. This is one of the top Belgian bars in the world. Let's check it out. Tell me about Angel's Share, because that is a really cool beer.
It is. It's got a great story behind it. So there's a lot of what we were talking about, the whiskey barrels and things that we use. And in the whiskey world, the whiskeys typically sit in barrels for a long time, 9 years, 15 years. And during that time, a little bit of the whiskey is actually lost in the evaporation process. And what the Scottish distillers have termed or coined is the phrase, the Angel's Share. And basically that's what the angels are taking from each one of the barrels. So we felt very fortunate when we got into having a beer that was going to have a lot of barrel character, that we could use that name and sort of reference that story, because the angels definitely take their share of our beer as we age it as well.
Here's to Lost Abbey, here's to you, and cheers.
Cheers, Martin.
How did beer become such a central element in your life?
I think it started, my grandfather on my mother's side was from Germany, and he had a good respect for beer and always had good beer around the house. He even cooked a dish called sauerbraten with beer, and so that was the first time I ever had beer cuisine. And I just had a healthy respect for quality beer. I never drank mass-produced beer. I always drank more artisanal style beers.
Mm-hmm. What's in here right now? Or are you allowed to divulge that?
Sure. This beer is called Freddy. It's Freddy with a PH, because this is the funk barrel. The funk went in here and became the funk because it got funkier. Then I put funk in here with blackberries, made fruit funk.
Oh wow.
Then I put Rudy's Kung Fu Grip, which is a strong amber Belgian-y kind of thing. I made Kung Fu funk. And then I put a triple in here, which will be Freddy, which does make sense. Trust me on that.
Here's to drinking beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Brought beer?
I brought beer and seeking help. When I come down here, obviously I already have the beer selected.
Right.
So I use them to help me either complement or contrast with the beer I have.
How many cheeses do you have here?
Over 1,000 different kinds of cheese.
And how do you keep up with it? I mean, what's the learning curve for a cheesemonger? How do you amass that kind of knowledge? Do you go to school for it, or you just pick it up on the job training?
Gotta be a little bit of a nerd, I think.
Cheese nerd?
Cheese nerd, yeah.
Mind if I start?
Oh, please.
Okay. This is the Colston Bassett Stilton from Nottinghamshire, England.
Okay.
That's actually my favorite Stilton.
This really is the Stilton to which all others are measured.
I'm sure they're experts, but you can't just trust them in their first pick. I mean, I'm sure there's something else here that we need to try.
Delve a little deeper.
What do we have here, Steve?
Go with one of my favorite domestic cheeses. This is the Bailey Hazen Blue. They actually studied at Colston Bassett Creamery, so you'll get some of that great production method transferring to this. And they make them in a little bit smaller drum, so it's got a little bit firmer, kind of flakier texture than the Stilton.
One more advantage to beer over wine. A world-class bottle of beer, at most, generally, is going to cost you about $20. Whereas you have to spend $20 to get something you know will be palpable for wine.
Right.
You know, and even still, like $5 to $9 will net you a bottle of beer that you really enjoy. So it's a lot easier to buy a bunch of it and take it to a party and have a tasting and not feel like you're risking wasting money.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Okay, now we're coming up on Sonny D'Angelo's butcher shop. Just take a look at this.
Yeah, look at this. 300 varieties of fresh homemade sausage. And kangaroo?
Yes, kangaroo.
You gotta be kidding me.
And I'm coming in to pick up one of his many sausages, I'm looking to stuff quail. I'm going to do some wild rice, some barley, and I'm looking for something kind of gamey to put in there to really expand the flavor of the quail. What about the merguez?
Merguez would be great in the quail. It's a little on the spicy side, not hot. It's more spicy than hot.
Okay.
I have a difference of opinion. Spicy is not hot. Spicy is spicy.
I like that.
Hot is hot.
I gotta ask this. I know he's got a lot of knives, but you know, what about all the skulls up here? This is very interesting.
My father was the big hunter. He was pretty good at it, actually. Which kind of got us into selling game. Not that he hunted game, he liked eating game, and I grew up eating all kind of things.
You know, again, we're talking about cooking with beer. We're tasting with certain beer. We're cooking with other beers. I know you, you do many dishes that involve beer. How difficult is that as compared to cooking with wine?
I think it's actually, I have a wider range of flavors with beer. Wine, you're sort of limited, you know, white wine or red wine, a lot of red wines have the same components. I can use the best beer in the world and it maybe costs me $15 for the bottle.
Right. Yeah.
I can use the most intensely flavored beer.
There are many subtleties to beers as well, but you know, red wine
Tastes like grapes.
Tastes like grapes, and when you're cooking, especially when you cook with it.
Again, when you cook with wine, you're using probably closer to a table wine, so you're not using a top quality. So there's not much to work with. When I'm using these beers, I really have the most intense flavors. Generally, seafood goes with hoppier, drier beers. Meats go with darker, sometimes a little more residual sugar beers. So that's a basic rule of thumb. The palate is so wide. I can get sour, I can get citrus, I can get grapefruit. You name the flavor, I can get it out of a beer. Yeah, it smells great, doesn't it?
I just want to drink that as it is right now.
We can do shots of it. The stuffing's a little bit further in there.
Pardon me, ma'am.
That'll be a nice contrast to the mildness of the quail. You know, that little bite of the
there you go.
Yeah.
You're a master.
Great job.
Take 5, guys. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Super excited about doing cheese because I love cheese, but I think more so than anything tonight, even though Tom didn't actually cook the cheese, this was probably the one course I really wanted to come into this building and do. So the pink beer is actually the Veritas 007, and the Veritas series is basically come down to sour barrel aged with fruit added. The second beer, the more port-like beer, is the Angel Share Grand Cru. We made about 190 cases of this beer.
It's interesting, the common theme that I've noted that's running through Mr. Arthur's speeches tonight is that we're only making 40 cases of this, and you can't have any.
Yeah.
Quite stingy, in my opinion, but nonetheless, it's really good stuff.
I think those people would say, that you're quite lucky you got a seat at the table, right?
Absolutely. Touché. Bleeding or something?
Alan, thank you very much for stopping by. Thank you, sir.
You know, when it comes right down to it, people have been brewing and drinking beer for thousands of years. It's part of who we are as a people. Yeah, sometimes we add our own embellishments, we add our own tastes and traditions, but it is still beer. So the next time you pop a bottle in your backyard, or a waiter pulls a cork for you at a place like Monk's, remember, you're drinking in history. Cheers.